Hi and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. This is going to be my most recent weekly wrap up. So first up, I read Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I wanted to read this book for so long and it was completely and utterly worth the wait. It's basically about a haunted IKEA that's not an IKEA. It's named a different name, but it's basically an IKEA. So it was just brilliant. Grady Hendrix always strikes the balance between being really creepy and really horrible, gruesome things happening, and also being really funny. And this just absolutely hit that mark for me as well. It was such a cool experience to read. You've got maps in here, the layout of the store, it's like very corporate, which was brilliant, and every single chapter is the name of a piece of furniture and how you have to use it in your life. So it's very much set out like an IKEA catalogue. We love to see it. This was a 5-star read for me. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I think that he managed to make the characters really likeable and also really relatable. I could imagine some of these people being my colleagues, and I loved how much of the sort of very corporate manager side of things that he put out into it. Working in retail myself, I just found that to be completely and utterly funny, and that just made it scarier because I could totally imagine this happening in my shop and potentially some managers having similar reactions to the managers in this book. You know, there isn't a policy or a procedure for what to do when your store is being haunted, so like just being at a total loss. I thought it was fantastic. Not as scary as My Best Friend's Exorcism. There was no as many points in this where I was sort of feel like oh, or like oh that's really disgusting. There was a bit less of that in here, more build up than action, but I still loved it. It didn't detract from it at all. I thought it was fantastic. It almost read a wee bit like a haunted house in the beginning before we started getting into the nitty gritty. So it was great. It was a 5-star, and I'm probably going to continue just to read through Grady Hendrix's back catalogue because everything that I have read so far has been a 5-star. It's been phenomenal. I then read The OK Witch by Emma Steinkellner, and this was again phenomenal. So this follows our main protagonist, Moth, and Moth is obsessed with all things witch. She then discovers she is in fact a witch, and her mother has hidden this whole life of witchcraft from her, and so she's really battling not being the witchy stereotype and letting her power take over and hurting people around her, but also trying to learn about magic, going against her mum's wishes because her mum doesn't want her to have anything to do with it. And it was brilliant. It's super cute and a super quick read. I read it in 2 sittings. It was brilliant. The characters in here are phenomenal considering it is a really short graphic novel. They're brilliant. I really loved our main character. I really loved her mum. And I really loved her cat. It was just a great all-rounder. I think that it tells a lovely wee story as well as it being really interesting, and it does some different things in here, jumping back in time and then doing like some quick wee snapshots of the things that Moth's learning that I haven't really seen in graphic novels before, so that was cool to experience and I really enjoyed it. This actually pulled at my heartstrings as well. There's a couple of scenes in it where I could feel I was getting like a wee lump in my throat, and that's never really happened with me with a graphic novel before, although I haven't read a huge amount. It's something that I am trying to expand into, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know if this is the first in a series, probably because I've decided to pick it up. However, if there was more in this series, I would definitely get them and read them because it was a 5-star for me and I just loved the wee world that was created. It was fantastic, and there's some hard hitting points in here as well around bullying, around prejudice, and around how history hasn't always treated women fairly. And I thought that it was done in a really non-overbearing way. It was just part of the story. It was done very factually. And then we have our main character who's sort of questioning that. So I think that if a younger audience is picking this up, it won't be rammed down their throats. It'll be potentially encouraging them to think a wee bit differently for some of the things that they are being taught in school. So thoroughly enjoyed it. It was brilliant and it was a 5-star read.